Thank you for joining. My name is Yushen and I will be your moderator today. Today's session is titled Maritime Domain Session 2, Maritime Project Showcases, Immersed Tunnel and Port and Waterway II Initiatives. The speakers for this session are Ali Huker, Research Associate, Cardiff University, Xiaofen Zhu, Research Associate, Cardiff University, Xi Liu, Research China Communication Construction Company. This session is scheduled to last 90 minutes, including time for questions at the end. The session is being recorded and will be made available in the replay section of the event as soon as possible. I would also like to bring your attention that buildingSMART is committed to ensure that participation in the development of standard is unrestricted and the process of their adoption is transparent. The standards that are developed do not favor any particular provider and are open, non-binding, and acceptable to all. Please take note to our antitrust code of conduct. Now I would like to hand over to Ali.
Thank you, Xing. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali, and I'm a research associate, as been introduced, Cardiff University, and I work with Immersed Tunnel projects under the Maritime Domain. As we saw yesterday, the session regarding the Maritime Domain Charter and Roadmap with Professor Haijing Li and Imad Shahrudi. Today, I'm going to talk you through what has been done within the Immersed Tunnel project so far and what is the progress. So first thing I want to stress out the partners we're working with. So we work with several industry partners such as CCCC, especially HPDI, which is Highway Planning and Design Institute, which is a sub company of CCCC, and also with our partner Haskoning, used to know as Royal Haskoning and now is Haskoning. So before we start the presentation, I want to stress out why we're doing this project. So why is important? So as we see, there's Immersed Tunnel has been going through in different countries currently, and is kind of a hot topic. We saw that in Finland Belt projects. We also see it a lot in China. So the goal was to actually see what type of components and elements that goes under the Immersed Tunnel, and also we have the tunnel project under the infrastructure room is also in progress, and there's a lot of things that we can learn from that project. But what makes the Immersed Tunnel different than other projects is the unique requirements. So that whether it is the type of the modular structure the segment is created, or the way they are actually constructed and on the prefabricated island and moved to the a place where they're going to be submerged in water, and also the type of connection that are connected. So they're quite different in requirements compared to the traditional tunneling, even though they overlap in some aspects. So with IFC, we've seen they've been expanding in the last few years. So it's covering the road, railway, other type of structure. So we can see it's expanding, but is it enough to represent the Immersed Tunnel? That's a question we need to analyze the data we have from the Immersed Tunnel's perspective, and we need to see whether actually the IFC schema is enough to cover this information, or do we need to do some refinement, or do we need to go, for example, to BSDD? So we think about the IFC schema as the nervous system. So you sending signals between different stakeholders and to communicate the best data across the project. So if you send the wrong signal, or the system is incomplete, then you can find there is some issues, errors, collisions. So that's something that we need to think about. And I think this is one of the things we are doing in this project. So we're trying to see the IFC schema, but from the immersed tunnel um, perspective. So to start with, we divided this project actually to several work packages. So we working from work package 1 to up to work package 5, but each work package is in unique in its perspective. So for example, we have a requirement and gap analysis, which is we starting to define these requirements we need, and check what's the limitation within the current IFC schema or the available. Even though the IFC tunnel projects or the tunnel project is has been developed or still in progress, but that's something we can use it as well as a base or a foundation to start our analysis as well. And then moving to building the taxonomy. So is the common language that all stakeholders can speak under the immersed tunnel umbrella. So that's what we're trying to also develop, where we're building that whole part whole relationship of different concepts. And then moving to the technical part, where we're developing the conceptual model, the extension or the refinement to the IFC schema, and also documenting the BSDD. So the BSDD can be on international level, where different people or organization, but also can be might be this BSDD specific to certain companies. So they might need to have it within their own organization and is not adding any value on an international level. So that's kind of um, differentiation or kind of classification will help us to actually structure that kind of concepts. And of course, all these requirements will be documented in IDS, so that the whatever we document in our use cases, they will be documented in IDS, and this IDS can be also used later on to check whether we address this requirements or not. And then moving from the technical part or the theory, you can say, or the conceptual part to the practical part, where we're trying to demonstrate that. So through a validated use cases and also through the openBIM workflow. So I think yesterday in the infrastructure domain, they have some working group where they're trying to develop a guide for the IFC schema, and they mentioned that they still need a lot of use cases of a real world projects or a proof of concepts that can be used to actually help them build that guide for the how to use the IFC schema. So that's something we are hoping we can contribute to that part of their developments by showing a full use case for the openBIM workflow. And same thing under the maritime domain, we're doing the proof of concepts. We're trying to get more into the practical side to see how actually you can use the IFC schema, whether you're using IDS, BSDD, BCF, or the validation surface, for example, or OpenCDE. So we're trying to deliver this also through this project to give it more value to the industry, to reflect more real world scenarios. And of course, we have the UCM, which is more a library. We can use it later on. So we use the IDM, even if it's on old concept or standard that is not fully shown within the IFC or within the openBIM workflow, but it's quite a proof that is actually good to be used. So we divide this into 4 primary tasks. So now I'll talk first. We'll zoom into each of these items to actually look into more details. But the overall is reviewing the existing standard within the buildingSMART ecosystem. Then we move to developing the use cases, the process map, whether it's high reference process map or more use case process maps. and then defining the information or exchange requirement or the exchange scenarios that is can be captured through these process maps. Um, all this help us also to develop the gap analysis. So we have different ways. So we have the IFC schema and as the main base to do the analysis, which is IFC 4.3. But at the same time, we have the tunnel projects, which is running, is still in progress. So we are looking forward to see the final result when it's officially delivered, so we can actually do another small or light gap analysis against what has been developed. And all that help us to actually define our scope and the range where immersed tunnel it needs to be captured. And after that, we can define our taxonomies, classification structure based on all these concepts that have been defined within the use cases. So that's the first part when we reviewed the existing standards. So as I mentioned, we have the overall architectural reports. So we can look at the functional components, the spatial structure in the IFC schema, and different angles we can look at the IFC schema. But the first thing you need to actually have a limit where you're looking at, you need to define the certain scope, so you can actually look within the IFC schema. Otherwise, you'll be looking into a schema that has been developed over the years, which is quite complicated and can be represented in different ways as well. And also the tunnel projects, we looked at through the requirement analysis report, the summit records, they've been quite helpful, and also the sprints they've been doing with the software vendors. So I think Sergi, I think if I'm not mistaken, from the tunnel project yesterday mentioned that they try to show how the IFC file can be structured. So going from the IFC project to IFC site to the spatial structure, even going to what they proposing at IFC 4.4, for example, the IFC tunnel classes and all the other proposed information. So they covered a lot of wide area when they focus on the geotechnical part, they focus on the systems, and also on the IFC alignment as well. So we developed a survey, which is more a high level, so for the industry, to trying to get more engagement from the industry, because immersed tunnel is a bit more specialized comparing to other projects. So maybe few organization they are working on this type of structures. So this is why we're trying to reach more and trying to get more input from the industry, in addition to our current experts in this, like Oral Haskinning or HPDI. And also we collected from China. They have different projects that has been done within the immersed tunnel. So we had a look at difference, for example, the Hong Kong, Macau immersed tunnel. So we're trying to capture the logic they've been using and with it while they designing this type of structures. Then we move to the use cases. So now we need to define the use cases. So we looked at the tunnel projects use cases to avoid overlap or repetition. So, and at the same time, we define our use cases that comes from our industry partners. So what they need to see within through the IFC schema, and that were put into a desk review within our team to prioritize these things. So we will priority and complexity. So are we the complexity is how we can how complex is to be defined within the IFC schema, and the priority is more is it high value to the industry, or is it medium or low, for example. Moving then, we had process maps collected from different partners. So the challenge is to actually try to find a reference process map, that we're trying to consolidate everything in something that we can understand the immersed tunnel, the exchange point within for example, the design of a tunnel, and where all the data is being exchanged. But we can't keep it. We need to have like some generic reference process map, because maybe each country or each organization have different way of doing certain things. So we need to find actually the more like a reference point to use. And along that path, we also developed the taxonomy. So we're trying to collect all the concepts and we're trying to structure it. So the current way of doing everything is we are collecting everything, trying to document it in Excel sheets, and we're trying to map it through the IFC schema, where we look at the schema and try to find what's best fits for certain concepts. So we're trying to go further than that by trying to document this maybe in more um, automated way, where we can actually capture this concepts or this taxonomy or meromony or properties, but at the same time we're trying to bring all these industry partner at the same time during the developments to actually build that taxonomy or agree on certain taxonomy. um, so now more moving to the use cases within. So within the tunnel projects, we had around 31 use cases. This is where divided into main use cases, and that were subdivided into sub use cases, for example. Within the immersed tunnel, we trying not to overlap or repeat what they've been doing, because we still don't have the official documentation for the tunnel projects, which is quite. If we just um, focus on the IFC 4.3 schema without taking the tunnel into reference, that can be at some point overlapping with them once the official IFC schema with the update of the tunnel will be released. So to avoid this, we focusing on certain specific use cases for the immersed tunnel project, but taking the tunnel project as a reference point so we can learn as well. Um, so we define this into 9 sub use cases. Some use cases in scope where we focusing, for example, the segment to land joint, which is they call them special segments. So there's some segment connected between the land and the sea, for example, or the other segment, and there is the typical segments that been connected with maybe within the sea. Um, we're also looking at the outfitting, because they have temporary outfittings, and they have also other type of structures that have been used. So we're trying to also capture this. But within our team currently, we are focusing on the design stage, and with the hope that we're going to we'll get more input from the industry so we can extend to the construction stage and even to the operation stage. But the focus within the design stage, because we need to provide that use cases that can be validated later on at a later stage. So to add more value to our industry partners. Um, there's more details, documentation of the use cases. And then we moving to the process map. So now we have a high level process map, we're showing the design stage of the immersed tunnel. And within that, we have certain use cases that been more evaluated into details, or breaking down into more detailed process maps. Alongside this work, this is what we've been doing currently, or what's been coming from our industry partners. We're trying to align it with the ISO 19650 and level of information need concept, for example. So there's a big connection here between these logics. So we need to figure out how the how IFC is complementing ISO 19650, or whether ISO 19650 is complementing the IFC schema. So we need to see where are actually the exchanging points, or the touch line where all these data can be exchanged. And when we say level of information, LION, or level of information need, that's what we talk about IDS, which is part of the openBIM workflow. So we're trying to capture these requirements, and trying this requirement, of course, the IDS files. You have maybe, I think that's been mentioned within the keynote speech on the first day, where the IDS files, they, I think from the airport domain, they define several IDS files, and all these IDS files, they are actually representing the final project delivery. So you can, it has different level of information in each of these IDS files. For the taxonomy development, so when we collected these concepts, I still need an expert panel to actually try to standardize this, so everyone will agree on the final version. But in order to do that, we need to use some kind of standardized way to capture this information. So more, we use the 12 ISO 12006 2020, which is to provide the classification logic. So it's not providing us with the classification, but it's giving us the classification logic that we can break down these concepts into different categories, and also give us the taxonomy, which is type of relation, the ceremony part of relation, and also the properties, which is take us to another concept, which is the ontology, where we define the object, predicate, properties, these triples. Um, One thing about the 12006, I think in the past was more specific, but with, I think that with the new release in 2022, because there's a lot of classification system has been released, so they're trying to make it a bit more generic. So that's something, I think that this one has been included within Port Waterway part one. But the new part, it was a good idea to actually do a bit of refresh and go through the newly developed version to have a look. And also we're trying to align our so the taxonomy we defined after we classify it, we're trying to check another classification standard. So uniclass, for example, they mention some tunnel classifications, but is it enough, or do we need more on that to add? And at the same time, for the IC, that's also, it might be closely related to Immersed Tunnel. So, and we can see it in BSDD. So that's something, a good exercise to actually learn from these classification within the BSDD as well. And this video shows the platform we're trying to develop to capture this taxonomy. Is ongoing under development, so it's not something that is fully developed. And I think so. Let me explain first. So you have the project, the use case you define within that project, and then you can capture using the BPMN process map to develop it. And within that exchange, you can also inject some of the ISO 19650 concepts. And within that, then you can go to the domain or model concepts, where you're talking about classes, object properties, or data properties. And maybe some of you already seen Protégé, for example. So it's something a bit closer to that. But Protégé is on RDF um, data, I think, structure, but we are here using more structure database, which is something we have another idea with it, to add it in the future. And I think one of the, some of you might question, why was this, why this is what's this, how this different than you use you complete a certain use case and make sure that is correct, then you can push it there, and you can actually for the industry to learn from for the future projects. But this one is more for the collaboration aspect between different industry partners to actually define the um, taxonomy, or what we call it MTP. So the next stage is to see, for example, some logic where we different people can actually access this platform, agree, approve, reject certain concepts, and also add their comment until they finalize all the concepts. And on top of that, they can actually, we thinking to add um, AI into it. So that's another layer where we're trying to use natural language processing, for example, or large language models, maybe a customized one, where we're focusing more on the IFC schema and the classifications. And that can help us to actually give a suggestions or recommendation when you define a concept. So if you say, I want to define a joint, or maybe is Gina water stop, maybe. So what is the closest things in a classification to this? So that give you more recommendation, help you. It's more like having a third voice in the room to give you some information while you're developing your taxonomy. But of course, the human is not removed from the loop, because we need to validate this final concepts before publishing anything. And once this ready during the development, we can then after that we can push it to the UCM. And when it's pushed to the UCM, that can be used as a valid example for the industry. So we are reaching more wider audience than focusing on just the within the certain project. And that's also can be maybe later on structured into IDS files, valid IDS files. But this is something still in progress. For the gap analysis, so as we mentioned at the beginning, we have different work packages, but these work packages, they are not working in separately. They are actually either overlapped or linked somehow. So they contribute to the next one, and we are doing it as cycles. So we go through this work package first cycle, then after that we go again, we do the second cycle to improve it. Sorry. So we divided the gap analysis into 5 stages methodology. So focusing on the scope, the use case, formalization, the domain concepts, what technical elements and metadata, and that help us to define the scope and range, and also map it to the IFC schema. Another aspect we looked into is how the IFC a project to identify entities in the IFC, how we to break a project. So we have the spatial structure and we have the functional structure, and that's also help us to define 3 ways when we review the IFC schema. So something focused on the meta infrastructure, which is the high level, maybe IFC projects, IFC organization, and that kind of concepts, and then moving to the components, and also whether the geometry is enough, and also the spatial structure, how the tunnel is actually structured. Because for the building is quite clear how the spatial structure can be, but for the tunnels or other infrastructure projects, it might be a bit confusion on what is the right approach to follow. If we look at the spatial structure, so this is you say we have the project, we have the site, then we have the facility level, for example, then we have the facility part level. That's the first assumption. Then we have the tunnel section. So each section, a section might be made up of 3 to 5 segments, and that will make a full section. And the segment is the modular section of the tunnel. And between this section, we have the joint mechanism, where we have like a Gina, water stop, Omega water stop, and other type of components. Um, Another thing we did is to run an example of exporting an segment from the IFC from Revit using the IFC 4.3 exporter with the current version. So we downloaded Revit 2025. We tried to not to use the default Revit exporter. So we're trying to see on GitHub the latest update that has been released. So maybe to fix some bugs or something with the exporter. So we exported using the most close match to the marine facilities or um, to Immersed Tunnel. So we saw IFC marine facility, and also we try to set to predefined type user defined. So that's something we try not to do any manual mapping within the Revit. So there's option to actually go classify what type of entity they are close to that one. So trying to actually use exactly what's the model been received by or sent to us. And we saw a lot of IFC element proxy been defined within this model. So there's no semantic clarity yet. So we're missing that. So everyone needs to actually define predefined types to actually provide more clarity. But even with that, we can use BSDD to add the classification. But even if you're using BSDD, which classification are you going to use? There's so many classification, around 260. So are we going to have like a guideline that have been sent to the design team to actually follow um, uh, to follow certain logic or when they do their design? And also this is the one of the use cases we selected, which is the joint design, because we found this use case is a bit different than other use cases within the tunnel. So it might be the joint might be used in other infrastructure, but maybe in this case is a bit more specific for immersed tunnel. And we define the concepts, the properties within that joint. And then after that, this is without the IFC. Then after that, we're trying to show it through a demo through BSDD to see if it's actually so. This is more like a demo where we push to the BSDD as a test. So that's Revit, that's the segment, and as we see, this is um, uh, so this is the JSON structure of the BSDD. So we document all the concept and their properties, and then we followed the guideline that comes for the developers from buildingSMART to actually make sure the JSON file we produce is a valid JSON file that can be pushed within the BSDD. So for example, you can have IFC prefix within the BSDD, for example. Then after that, we develop a plugin within this using Python. It's still under test, so we trying to add a classification to that one, and that but while we connecting to the BSDD dictionaries using the buildingSMART API. And then after that, we can select the things we already published and the BSD to add these properties. So once we add this, you can see here in the side panel, the URI has been added, or the classification, and also the properties, mockup properties, been added here to just to test. And after that, we trying to use the export the model in IFC. So here where we're trying to use the default exporter within Revit, but on top of that, we're building the IFC reference mechanism. So IFC classification, IFC reference, and you see if the properties have been new, but it's still not clear. It's still under developments, but the idea is that we don't have the property sets yet in the IFC schema, for example. We don't have these are more like customized properties. Also with the with Revit, something has been added under the other categories where we can add more clarity to it by adding into maybe IFC parameters um, in the future. The next part is to actually test the IDS. So these requirements we pushed or we added, we generated an IDS file, and that IDS file is documented using the IFC, the IDS schema published in GitHub by buildingSMART. The structure you see is divided to specification, also requirements, and then using IDS audit tool. So the IDS audit tool also by buildingSMART community, and I think is help us to check whether the IDS file we created is valid IDS file. So once we created that, then we can do the check, and here we're using IFC OpenShell to do or IFC tester to actually check the requirements against the information of the properties we just added. So we see there are, I don't know if it's clear, but we see here like two specifications been added. One passed, which is the IFC element proxy, because most of the model was classified under IFC element proxy. And the property's been added only to one element at the moment. And the rest, yeah, there's only one has the properties. And all this workflow is contributing to the IDS BSDD workflow. There's other option to use. For example, we could have used the buildingSMART plugin, I think, to add BSDD classifications. But when we try to use that one, is working with Revit 2024. I think the last support for that. So we have two options: either downgrade to 2024 and try it, see how it works. Which is we done that, but that's for one purpose. And the other thing is to just continue our work with the latest Revit version. What we can add to that, and at the same time we can learn how the BSDD actually works. So how we connect to these APIs, how we're going to get the data, how the data is structured. So it's more like a practice for us to actually understand the entire logic rather than using something. The other option is just to upgrade the APIs and that plugin from 2024 to 2025 and use it as well. So it's both sides. You need some development. So which side do you want to take? Everything works. At the end, we are serving one idea, which is we're trying to show the openBIM workflow, and it is open, so it should be reaching the wider community as well. And that's the call for participation for Immersed Tunnel. So we always happy to have more people to join us. We have different type of contributions if you want to join. In-kind contributions, contributing use cases, or any type you find yourself or the company or your company can be part of this projects. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all from my side today, and maybe open for discussion if any questions.
Hi, Tina from the airport domain. So
Hello.
I think we got the same problem with the classifications and defining the properties. So question is, the platform you develop, could it be open for the other domains as well? So we can join together, because I think we have an overlap between airports and tunnel and maritime. So maybe we should work together a little bit more to define these classifications. Would be great.
Yes, definitely. I'm a big fan of the airport domain. They've been working on the open BIM workflow, like Christopher, I think, or he done a lot of work when it comes to all these demos to trying to prove how we can actually reach um, the ultimate output of out of the IFC schema. So it's quite good to see you here today. And yes, this platform, I think we are trying to is under development, so it's not actually stable to actually being used yet. But once it's used, it will be open, because that, I think, is everyone we're trying to actually collaborate within this. So this project is under the Maritime Domain. But of course, we mentioned yesterday in the Maritime Domain session, we cross collaboration with other domains is missing, because we are developing things. Everyone is like developing things in certain way, and it works, and we need to learn from each other. So we need to give and take. So as I'm giving you something to improve your work, but at the same time I'm learning something back from you. So we're always happy to collaborate, and once it's ready, we'll we'll drop you a message.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thank you.
But that's to help us, actually, because we have a lot of people, and it's quite hard to sit in the same room all the time. So
Totally, yeah.
we're trying to standardize it in a way, and just trying to find like a common language everyone speak. But of course, everyone has different project, different cases. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that's great. I think we should get together better in Porto. Maybe we can do a joint,
we should
a joint
arrange
session of
more
the
like a
domains.
workshop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah, thank you. Great.
No worries.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. So it's definitely, the answer is definitely yes for the collaborations. Actually, one of the major purpose for this maritime domain, this afternoon we're going to have domain panels. So one of these unique selling point for this domain that is we're trying to work with practical example, which means that we have to produce loads of different practical tools that can enable different parties to work together. So this sort of taxonomy collaboration development platform that really enable us to start the work together at the very beginning, because to develop any standards, step one is to develop taxonomy. And how can you cope with different opinions, views from all those different stakeholders? We need the tools. We just cannot do it manually somehow. So that allows us to do this automatically or semi-automatically, enable us to process a large amount of process. So one of the major issues for IFC that from our observing is that the granularity is still not deep enough to enable practical usage. So that means taxonomy development need to go deeper and deeper. So that tool that was is what we're trying to push forward, and definitely need everyone to start to try it, to criticize it, and then to develop together better. Yeah.
Please. Yeah. For the online.
I think that's exactly the point, because as long as we cannot define what we're talking about, we cannot check it. We cannot evaluate it. We cannot do anything without it. And in the airport domain, we have the same problem. We use Excel. The problem is, and that's why I thought that that tool will be great, because there's so much information coming into one Excel sheet from all over the places. And you have to sort it and define it and check it again and counter check it. And a tool would really be great, because Excel can't be the solution. And I'm using Excel every day, so enough.
Yeah, also the good thing is for this product will be aligned. So this product will be aligned with the entire openBIM workflow. So from the before this and after this, so we will have BSDD, IDS, BCF, including ISO 19650 workflow. They will all be connected and integrated. hopefully by promoting those tools that can allow those practical uses for our project. Yeah.
To any questions or comments? Anything? Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending our Maritime Domain Session 2. So I'm Xiaofeng Zhu. I'm now a research associate working at Cardiff University, and I'm also the technical lead for this Port Waterway Stage 2 project. So this Port Waterways project has a long history. The first stage of this project was launched like 5 or 6 years ago, and after that, after like 3 or 4 years of work, we finished the stage 1. But due to the COVID, so we have to put the second stage of work aside, because at that time it's quite difficult to find to like make like international collaboration work. So until this year in Singapore, we finally launched the second stage of this Port Waterway. So this second stage of work is more like a continuation of the first stage. And in this second stage, we will focus more on refining the existing IF schema for Port Waterway, and also we will extend the work scope to construction and operation phase, because in stage 1 we mainly focus on design stage. So in this second stage, we will extend the work scope, and the expected outcome for this stage 2 is more like we will improve the existing schema for Port Waterway with more entities, concepts, and also we will finish some outstanding use cases we have already defined in stage 1. And the last part is about we will define some new use cases, not only in construction and operation stage, but also some new emerged use cases like AI or some like more advanced use cases. So here's the project team. Fortunately, we got some like we got quite strong support from both industry and academia, and also we have some partners who had made significant contributions in the first stage to join us in the second stage. It's quite fortunate. So like CCC Second Harbor consultancy company, they are quite experienced in port and waterway design and construction work. Also from the academia side, we got Dalian University of Technology and also Cardiff University. It's are all old partners. Besides of this, we have some new friends from both industry and academic as well, like Mota Angel and Costco Shipping. And also from academia side, we got Tongji University from China join us for the second stage. So here's the project committee structure. All the development work will be supervised by buildingSMART Standard Committee and the Maritime Domain Steer Committee. And we have some like co-investigators like CCC, I just mentioned, and also some other industrial partners like Husking and Mota, and also some partners from academia like Tongji University in China and the Dalian University of Technology. Now we are still looking for someone to take the role of project manager. And for now, it's Professor Haijiang Li who take this role to like contact different parties and arrange all the work to help all the parties work collaboratively. So before we go to the work for stage 2, let's have a quick recap on the progress we have achieved in stage 1. So one of the main contribution is the data schema. So for Port and Waterway, it's slightly different from like building and other domains, because in Port and Waterways, there's in some cases there are some
there's not a simple components. It's a summation of different kinds of components. So we define a new concept called complex, which is the aggregation of one or more entities intended to serve an overall function. So that's the unique part. And under this, we try to align with existing IFC schema. We add some like layers like facilities, entities, functions, and also like normal properties, products. So this the one of the most important contribution for stage 1. We set up the basic or fundamental schema for Port Waterway. The second contribution is the use cases. We grab some information from overall architecture and also from FC bridge projects. So we define 29 use cases in the first stage. And we classify these use cases based on the priority and the complexity. So we select the most priority. Based on these two indicators, we select the most urgent use cases that need to be resolved at that time. So in stage 1, we finally investigate 20 use cases, which is green and orange. And also we left 9 use cases for the stage 2. So this is the brief summary of all the concepts and types and entities we define in Port Waterway in stage 1, and all these concepts had been like published in FC 4.3 last year. So from this summary, we can see that it's approximately it's only 62 main concepts defined in stage 1. So it's still a long way to like the practical use for industry partners. So based on this, we have several rounds of discussion with our industry partners, and we summarize these following 3 main gaps in Port Waterway. So the first one is the incompleteness of existing IF schema. The second one is there is still some outstanding use cases in stage 1. We need to finish that. And the third one is there are some new application scenarios emerging in this domain. So first point, incompleteness. If we go, so here's the summary we have for this incompleteness. All the concepts listed in these tables, they are not fully covered in existing FC schema. If we go back to the slides here, we can see for marine facilities, we already got 19 concepts. Yeah, so here for the facility types, some of the concepts they are covered, like breakwaters, like dry dock. They are mentioned, or they are already be defined in stage 1. But for some other concept like sea walls, they are not defined in stage 1. So for this stage 2, we need to work on this missing elements. And also for complex tabs, none of this concept was like officially published in stage 1. That's another part of our main work for stage 2. Besides of the concept, we also have some outstanding use cases. As I mentioned before, there's 9 use cases we defined, but we didn't investigate in stage 1. So here is the list. And there's some quite interesting use cases, such as structural analysis. At that time, this part is quite difficult and quite complicated. And after that, like 3 or 2 years after that, there's a new domain called structural analysis domain. They published this part of work. So that means it's quite important. And for now, we need to go back to see what has been published, and we need to do some mapping between our demand and the existing FC schema for structural analysis to see whether we can supplement any new content to this part. And also some important part, if we want to contribute more on operation and construction stage, the ship lock operation, that's a quite good point to step in, because now there's some new platform emerged in the industry, so they want to smartly manage their assets. So for this ship lock operation, it's become more and more popular. And also the last point, digital twin, is a quite hot topic recent years. It can trigger more and quite a lot new use cases in the future. So for new application scenarios, we had discussion with our industry partner and get some insight from their side, and we summarize 5 big topics. The first one is protection and environmental. It's include like coastal protection, erosion protection, and the flood protection. These are all the topics we haven't touched in stage 1. And we also in stage 2, we are no longer like just focus on single channel or waterway. We want to find or dig more information from the correlation between different channels. So we set up this maritime network and system topic, which is about waterway network, canal network, and flood protection networks. The other quite big part is about the power. So with the push of the government, there are so many green powers on the projects. There are many industry partners are working on. So for this maritime power generation, it's another big topic. We will focus on like offshore wind generation, wave generation. So this is a totally new area for this stage 2. And as I have said before, so for the stage 2, the main contribution will also focus on the operation stage. So asset management and operation and maintenance will be another big part. So we will focus on some inspections, including underwater, maintenance of as-built asset models, and also operational planning and logistics. Besides of this, there are some like basic element we need to supplement. So it's like the geology and the environmental part, erosion and transportation, flooding and water management, something like that. So just a summary of the work or the contribution we want to achieve in stage 2. The first one is we want to improving existing app schema to port and waterway, and also we will finish some of the outstanding application scenarios we define in stage 1, and we will add more new application scenarios for the stage 2. So here's the work plan for the second stage of port and waterway. The international consensus and engagement, and also the project management that will be happen throughout the life cycle of the project. And for technical development part, we will start with requirement analysis. We define new scope requirements. And after that, we will, based on these requirements, we define taxonomies, monomies, and also corresponding properties. After we got this all this MTP system ready, we will move on to conceptual modeling and schema development. This will help us to develop some technical parts, technical components like IDS and the BSDD. After this, all this work has been done, we will move on to documentation and do some modeling guidelines to help industry people to use to tell them how to use this developed IFC schema. And the last stage is about the testing and the deployment. So here is just like our preliminary thoughts for refining existing schema. As we have some discussion with our industry partner, they mentioned that they feel quite difficult to use existing IF schema during their practical work. So they propose they have their own classification system, but inside of it they can't find some their entities in existing IF schema. So they feel it's quite difficult to map between their classification and IFC. So here's the list. The table here shows all the entities or concepts they use for ship lock design. And on the right-hand side is the concept they use for shipyard design. But in FC, for example, in existing FC schema for Port Waterway, the concept only have ship lock. They do not have any subclasses for ship lock, and it is same for shipyard. So they feel it's quite difficult to make it happen for them to use all IFC concept to do their design work. So they propose maybe we can add some another layer which contains some more detailed concept for them, so they can do this mapping things. And we have tried to mapping some of the concept with existing IF schema, and some of the concept they can use existing concept and the properties to represent. For example, like the walls, they got different type of walls, but we can add more properties, or we can assign properties to the wall to solve this problem. But so for some concept, they're totally missing, like the water stop, as Ali has mentioned in Immersed Tunnel Project. This water stop, this kind of concept, they are missing in existing IF schema. So they have to have some this type of concept to help them to do their design work. And also for shipyard sails and pump house, they are totally missing. We cannot find any alternative concept in IF schema to help them to do the design. And I know some of the concept, they can be there are some alternatives in IF schema, and also they have some practical. They have their own classifications. So all this can be goes to BSDD. This will, if we realize, if we make all this happens, I think it's quite helpful for us to have more practical partners work with us. They also provide some other concepts in water area space, transportation equipment, navigational aids, liquid handling equipment. So we will, after this summit, that's the next stage of the work. We will go through all this concept to find whether we can add more potential concepts into existing IFC schema. For the use cases, we investigate 2 use cases. The first one is water quality monitoring. Yes, so in Port Waterway engineering is quite important because water quality monitoring is essential for ensuring safety navigation, protecting marine ecosystems, and also maintaining the long-term sustainability of coastal infrastructure. And in China, this water quality monitoring is become more and more important. It's gradually become a mandatory requirements for the governments to say, if you want to have any projects in the water area, you must do this water quality monitoring. So here's the this is a real project provided by Cetesi, our industry partner. So they are doing some actual construction work around the water, and they need to do this water quality monitoring during the whole duration of their project to monitor the water quality. So here's the process map. Normally, for this type of water quality monitoring project, it should be 5 stages. The first one is the preliminary preparation. You need to do some site survey. You need to have an installation plan, and also you need to do some procurement. And after that, you need to do actual civil construction work to install your sensors, your sampling system, monitoring equipment, and the data transmission system. And after that, after you have done all the installation work, then the system need to do some. You need to do some commissioning work to test all the equipment or all the data, whether they can transfer successfully. And till now, there are many official standards for water quality monitoring released all over the world, from like WHO, from also another ISO standard for water quality monitoring, and some like regional water quality standard like EU standards and also Chinese standards. We go through all these standards and we summarize some content from these standards. So for information exchange process within water quality monitoring, there's mainly two big parts. The first one is the sampling plan. During this stage, you need to grab the information from site survey, and you need to select the sampling cross sections, sampling points, and also you need to decide the sampling depth and the frequency. So that's one big part for information exchange. The other one is the monitoring parameters. So normally there are two big parameters, two types of parameters. One is water quality parameters. It's including physical, chemical, microbiological, radiological parameters. And for hydrological parameters, it's like water depth, flow velocity, and the flow direction. So mainly these two types of parameters need to be monitored. So here's a table, here's a summary of all the categories and the indicators and typical limits for each indicators that defined in different standards. So based on this information, we summarize this potential schema for this water quality monitoring. So within existing app schema, we got Port Waterway, and under that we have marine part. Within marine part, we have water field. That's all for the existing schema. And then we want to add another concept called water quality indicators. And there will be like six sub-concepts for this water quality indicators. That's all the categories for this monitoring. And within each indicator, within each category, there will be different indicators, and all these indicators will go to the property site. That's the first use case. We haven't finished yet, but we will gradually refine it after this summit. And the second one we start is coastal protection. So coastal protection it also plays a critical role in safeguarding shorelines and infrastructure from wave action, erosion, and storm surges. This is a typical process map for coastal protection design. So it's a little bit complicated than the water quality monitoring, but it's basically just like you need to do initial design, and after that you need to have like a detailed design, and you need to send to like different parties to get approval from different parties, and then the final project plan you need to send the final project plan to the construction team. Here is the cross-section view of a coastal protection project, and some of the typical elements are marked in the picture. So for this coastal protection, we haven't touched anything in stage one. So we summarize all the concepts based on their functions. So as I mentioned, there are several ways to have this taxonomy. One is from spatial side, the other one is from function side. So we, based on the function, we summarize several big concepts, and after that we we add all the facilities within different categories. For example, for wave protection and energy dissipation structures, the sea walls, breakwaters, they all belongs to this category. So we move that to, we set this seawall as a subconcept of water protection and energy dissipation structure. So same to the previous use case. So we also make some like initial design for the schema. So under Port Waterway, we got marine facilities. But after that, we have no other concept with regard to this coastal protection. So we add a new concept called coastal protection, and add some and within this coastal protection, we need to have some sub concepts. So we just put all the functions in this part, and within each functions, we define several concepts, which is the actual concept always says entity or facility. That's two use cases we are now working on, and there are also some new emerged use cases we will focus on in the next stage. The first big part is about the construction site management. So with development of AI techniques, the management of construction site is become smarter and smarter. And there's some new computer vision-driven recognition algorithm significantly change the way of this kind of management, and they provide intelligent and automatic way to do some detection, like helmets, like restricted area detection, fenced climbing detection, and smoke detection, something like that. So inside of this kind of process, they got so many information exchanged. So in the next stage, we will try to merge this AI-driven approach into our new scenarios. We will investigate what type of information need to be changed between different components, and how this information are changed, and the whole work, the whole process of this information is changing. And we will try to embed our FC concept into this new emerged use cases. So for the other quite important use case is structural health monitoring. So on the right hand side, this is the actual project. So after they finish construction, they doing maintenance work. So they attach some sensors on the structural components of the harbor. It's a harbor, it's a ship log. So they can detect, they can grab data, real-time data from the sensors. They can detect the strands, and also the crack on the structural components. So then they will, based on this raw data, they will make some decisions. So this is another quite useful part for this new use cases, because in the future, with more and more AI and new technologies engaged in this smart infrastructure management, so we need to like model the specific work data exchange scenarios for different applications. Yeah, so that's pretty much for all the current progress. And for the next stage, actually we are still in the initial stage for this Port Waterway II. We just launched in Singapore Summit. So the next the next point is to like finalize the project plan, and we need to determine the work scope, and also the work packages and the task within each work packages. And also the project timeline and duration need to be finalized. And also maybe some of the expected outcome for the project need to be slightly modified as well. So beside of that project plan, the requirement analysis is the next step as well. We will, based on the previous use cases we defined in stage 1, we will define use cases we want to investigate in stage 2. And also we will create all the work process for each use case. And based on this use case and work process, we will develop corresponding concepts, taxonomies, that sort of thing. So at last, we still, same as the Immersed Tunnel Project, we are call for participations. We have initially defined some like work scope, like I have shown before, like management network, water network things. Well, we are still looking for some industry partners and also academic partners to give us some like valuable insights on this type of things. Yeah, I think that's all of my presentations, and it's open for question.
Thank you for sharing your work. It's very interesting to see use cases. I can see in your use cases there are some similar things with tunnel project. For example, in the first use case, the water quality monitoring. In the tunnel project, we proposed how to represent the P sets with the chemical substance and stuff like that, how much content it has, and so on. Also, for the second use case, we also have entity or P sets to represent the test results from sensor. I didn't really clearly see your sensors, but probably the inclinometer or strain gauge and stuff like that. So maybe you might want to look into the entities and property sets that Tunnel Project proposed. You might be developing something quite different. Then, in the end, we are a bit confused. We will be a bit confused which we should be using. So.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's quite valuable feedback. So yes, so for now, it's just like preliminary idea for us to like how we gonna organize our findings and to embed within the existing app schema. So I think for next stage, yeah, definitely we need to go back to C and to like go through all other domains to see how they put their like similar things within the app schema, and we will follow the similar way, or maybe we can find whether there's some overlapping things, or we can directly use some other concept which has been defined. So yeah, I think the way you suggest is quite valuable for us. We will try to follow your way. Yeah.
Thank you, Xiaofeng. Also, if I may add something, I think yes, you mentioned the IFC tunnel projects. That has been ongoing for a couple of years. Yeah. So at the moment, we are not sure yet how exactly this IFC tunnel is going to move forward. Is it going to be IFC 4.3, 4.4? So as it is, so we actually conducted technically gap analysis. So because this is true for all those existing IFC like 4.3 or any other IFC2 even. So we need to do the gap analysis. So from our case, we focus on the gap analysis for stage 1. That is PW2, Port Waterway. So focus on PW1, and then we understand there are some missing element there, and there are some outstanding use cases there. So that will be developed into stage 2. But at the same time, from our 2 ongoing projects, the Immersed Tunnel actually is more, we think, is more closely to IC Tunnel. So actually, Ellie, we have been together working on to find those gaps from those IC Tunnel. But for the water quality control and sensors that you just mentioned, maybe that hadn't yet come to our radar. So thanks again for your great insight. So after this, I think we need to go through those FC tunnel project with more details. I think that actually trigger another thinking that because within the existing FC schema, there are many concepts that are already developed. For any new extension, new development, how to maintain the links with the existing schema, and at the same time to develop some new schema, and that actually either derived out of the existing concept or actually separated completely by putting more into the specific domain context. That still remains question mark. And we as a team now developing this Immersed Tunnel projects, Port and Waterway project, we're still thinking on that. So hopefully that perhaps we can start to talk with your IFC Tunnel project team more often than now. So because we go to the deep water zone, that loads of concepts that might be overlapping. So we definitely need to talk to each other more often. In fact, we are, after this summit, we are trying to plan a series of workshops, technical workshops. So we are now trying to invite all those people who are interested. So certainly FC Tunnel people, that's going to be included. And mostly that will be online. But if it's appropriate, we might find some workshop in person. Yeah, so thank you for the participating in advance. I thought you want to,
Regarding your remark, you're completely correct. There was not a certain way forward with IFC Tunnel, so obviously you cannot take that as your baseline. But now we actually had an announcement yesterday in the Tunnel Domain session. We are going forward with the candidate standard. We have a plan. The content has been agreed on. And after the votes in the SCTE, SCE, and so on, we are looking into publishing as an ISO. So that is good news. You can actually now take the documentation that is published and already start reusing those concepts also. I mean, it's not completely official because we haven't had the vote yet, but the plan is there, it's approved, and we have a way forward. So very good news for all of us, I think. Yes.
So now it's officially coming to our radar. Yeah, we need to think about that carefully. Yeah, so officially coming to our radar, we definitely need to consider about that. So talk with you guys more, it'll be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no question from online. So
Yes, I think unless you have any other burning questions, so maybe we can finish now, 5 minutes earlier.
yeah, thank you for attending today, and we're looking forward to seeing you in other sessions of the summit. Bye.